Welcome to
4Kids Flashback. Hello, welcome to 4Kids Flashback. I'm your co-host, Tara Sands, joined by...
Steve Yurko.
Hello, Steve.
Hello, Tira. Sorry.
Tira?
Sorry, I did a little...
Tira? Is that how I say it?
No, I just felt like putting a little, I don't
twang.
know. Yeah, a little Midwestern twang in there.
Tira.
I was saying like, oh, Tara. You're doing the podcast about 4Kids. Oh, that's so...
we're going to have to get you cast as that voice in something.
Oh, yeah,
that's
so many anime
accent.
want that in their dubs.
That's an accent I'm not good at.
Gotta watch more Fargo.
Tara. I love Fargo. Tara.
Like taro, like the boba tea.
Yes, but I'm like, it seems so like it seems like stuffy to me. Like, I don't feel like a Tara.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Tara.
Yeah. Too American.
Oh,
what's up?
Before I forget, I wanted to set something straight. I know this is going to air far after our interview with Norman, but Norman told a story when we interviewed him about how the episode that gave the kids seizures in Japan, was it the Porygon episode?
Mm-hmm.
He said that the crazy thing was that they re-aired it at night on the news and like it reignited. That is
not true.
Like, well, it's not necessarily, definitely not true, but I got some posts online about like, hey, this is just a rumor or this has been debunked.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I have to always clarify stuff like that. But
for sure.
I mean, it's a much more interesting story if they really did it. But it's probably not true.
It's like kind of cruelly ironic, right? It's like we must report about this awful thing that happened to the children today, and now it can happen to you too. But
totally. I liked thinking it was real, but
I'm all about
all the people.
Yeah, I'm all about the debunking here on the show.
And again, this is, I'm sure at this point when this airs, the Norman interviews in the past, but so that's my debunking for the day. Do you have anything you want to debunk? No pressure.
No, nothing's bothering me at the moment. I'll say no false rumors.
The bunk department.
Yeah. Everything's bunk for now.
I found out today, I did an interview with a podcast, and they told me that there's all sorts of rumors online about why I left Yu-Gi-Oh! In season 5. And I was like really?
What?
I go, I just moved. He's
how
like,
many?
no, that you. Yeah, I was like, really? I
one or two?
He made it sound like there's a lot. I mean, maybe I'm afraid to even look it up, but I don't think they're like a crazy number of that. But I'm like, I've said many times in interviews, like, oh no, I moved, so they replaced me.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to come up with a much better story of like a fight I got in or something, because it's my version. The true version is just so boring.
Right. Yeah. So the truth is unfortunately not stranger than the fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go around.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes they're like, well, yeah, you were replaced, like as if I almost don't know that I was replaced, or like people like walk on eggshells around it, and I'm always like, no, Gary Karenan's awesome. Like if someone was going to replace me, I'm glad it was her.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not fun, but true. Maybe she and I should have like a Mokuba battle to the death or something.
A Mokuba off.
A duel. Yeah. So it would have
Moku
to be a
battle,
duel, I suppose.
Maybe that's
a Moku
the pun.
battle.
Yeah.
That's what. You know what? When we interview Carrie, that might be the name of the episode.
We should write that
the
down
Moku
so
battle.
that we're not
we will
scratching our heads
figure
this out later. Well, hopefully this comes out before.
Please help us with these episode titles. We put ourselves in this position to come up with like 4Kids-ish episode titles.
Yeah, and now it's I have a whole new level of sympathy for all those writers working on these shows.
Shout out to Zach Logan, our co-producer, who comes up with the majority of the titles.
Yeah, he's been coming up with a lot more than I realized. Well, he's being a dad now. I guess with dads, you do more puns. I guess so.
Yeah, it comes more naturally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like there's a few I've come up with that I'm proud of, but like but the bulk of them are definitely Zach's.
Definitely, yeah.
Or at least he gets us on the right track. Like, he'll say something, I'm like, oh, yeah, well, that's the word that we... Oh, man. Well, yeah, so if you guys have episode title suggestions to save us some time, if you know who's coming up on the show.
For sure.
Actually, we might get way too many weird responses. All right, well, we will let our guest in today. Oh my gosh, sorry. We're talking to Russ Velazquez today. And we'll do a much better intro when he's here, but I'm super psyched because it's another music department person.
Mm-hmm. And I think we were talking about this just before we started recording. It's like if there's any like male vocal track in a 4Kids production, 90% of the time it's
it's
him.
It's often Russ. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great. I mean, well, I'll compliment him later, but just a solid rock and roll voice, and also to be writing it and arranging a lot of the stuff, and super talented guy, and works then did stuff for Sesame Street, and he's had just a really interesting career that is silly for me to tell you about. So here's Russ. Our guest today, he was a composer, an arranger, and a singer during his time at 4Kids. He's done so much more than that, though. But I mean, you know him from singing so many of the theme songs. My personal favorite, "Gotta Go Fast," which we will definitely talk about.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, cool.
It. But
cool.
Let's talk about your music background a little bit before we get into the 4Kids stuff.
Oh, sure.
Where did you grow up? You're an East Coaster, I'm assuming.
I'm New York, born in the South Bronx, near Hunts Point in the Bronx, in the old South Bronx. And my father was a salsa singer. He was a Latin singer, and he sang for Charlie Palmieri, who was one of the, his brother Eddie Palmieri was a little more he had a little more notoriety than Charlie, but the two brothers were very famous, legendary Latin pianists, and Charlie had his orchestra and Eddie has his orchestra. My father sang with Charlie since he was 16. And when I was born, he was in the, just doing his salsa gigs with Charlie. So I grew up with that in my house. I mean, salsa music was blasting. I would go to my dad's rehearsals. I would go to recording sessions. I would go to his gigs. But in the meantime, I'm listening to the Beatles. I'm listening to Motown. I'm listening to James Brown, Little Richard. So I had all that going on, but I didn't. My parents asked me when I was 5 if I wanted to learn how to play the piano. And I said, nah. But then when I I grew up in the South Bronx, moved over and lived on Arthur Avenue from the time I was 5 to I went to high school. And Arthur Avenue, if you don't know, is pretty much the main street of what they call the Little Italy of the Bronx, and I was the only Hispanic. So I grew up with Italians from the time I was 5, so I was one of them. So,
that's a different musical influence altogether too.
Right. So, well, but more in the, like my friends were into the Beatles and were into Motown and into, we were into a lot of the same things, but my father was still doing his salsa music and his, and I was still had that in my background, but I still didn't play an instrument until I got into high school. When I got to high school, I went to Cardinal Spellman High School in the Bronx, not exactly a music school. But, for some reason, our graduating class had the most musicians in that year. I don't know why. There was a few musicians the year before us, a few musicians the year after us. But for some reason, my graduating year, my class had the most musicians. So we had this nice big clique of musicians all of us who all, the clique that we all liked the same music. We were into rock, we were into, progressive rock fusion at the time, we were getting into, Jethro Tull and Yes, and there was a group, Gentle Giant, that we absolutely loved. And of course, Led Zeppelin and all those guys, Black Sabbath and all that. But, everybody that I was hanging out with, they all played. And my best friend in high school was the best guitar player in the school, my friend Tom Teely. And he said, man, you should pick up the guitar. So the Christmas of my freshman year, my parents got me a real cheap acoustic guitar, a Kent. a Kent guitar. So I
Kent.
sat in my room and I just learned, and I'm lefty. So I had
Oh.
to change the string. They got me a righty guitar. I had to switch the strings around. And then after 6 months, my friend Tom would make me chord charts and make chord diagrams of certain songs. 'Cause I was, hey,
Hmm.
that song. He goes, yeah, these are the chords, And I'm like, oh, okay. So I would learn the songs. And then after about 6 months, he asked me to join the band he was in.
Wow.
And I'm like,
Okay.
well, I don't have a guitar, electric guitar. So so we had a friend that had a couple of guitars, and he said, hey, you can borrow this one. And it was again another cheap electric guitar, but it was righty. So I would restring the guitar, go to rehearsal, restring it, give it back to him, and
That
then
is a
come
pain
back.
in the ass.
You're kidding me, but when you're like 14, 15,
Yeah.
it was like, hey man, and so for a while, that's what I was doing. And then finally, I think my friend felt bad and he said, you know what, just hold on to the guitar for a while. So I was playing, and now I don't know if you know guitars, but you know what a
Hmm.
Les Paul. As a matter of fact, I have one of those.
Oh, he's getting a guitar for the audio listeners.
Yeah.
He's getting a guitar.
So here's a Les Paul. See the way it's
Hmm.
shaped? So imagine this right-handed. So it kind of was like that. And I had to try to play it
Oh,
like
it's
that.
not
I had to
made for a
restrict.
lefty. Yeah, that
Right,
is, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So that was the guitar. He let me a knockoff of a Les Paul.
Okay.
And so that's the guitar I had for a while, restrung lefty. And then finally, when I got my tax return from my first job, my mom told me, I said, I want to buy an electric guitar. She goes, okay, whatever it costs, if you can't afford it, I'll put in the rest. So I bought
Oh.
my first guitar, an SG, Gibson SG, and then I had my own guitar. So then from then on,
Aw. But
I
okay,
I
but
had my
wait,
own
you
guitar in my
haven't
own band.
mentioned singing at all in all of this, which
Okay.
is shocking to me.
Well,
Okay.
okay, because what happened was I never thought about singing. I thought
Oh my
everybody could
God.
sing. I'm not kidding you.
Okay,
I
so
thought
you
everybody could
okay.
sing. So then in freshman year, when we had there was the freshman mixer, right? And that was like this little get together. So of course my friend Tom said, hey, a couple of the guys that played, instruments, we put a quick band together. And of course I didn't play guitar yet. I didn't know how to play guitar yet. And I was like, well, okay, you know what? I'll sing. So I was singing, for it, and I was like, oh, that sounds pretty good.
Right.
And so I never thought about it. And then when I was in bands, my friend Tom and I, we would both sing, and we could both sing pretty well. So I just didn't think about it.
Wow. Well,
And
and I
then,
guess growing up in a musical family, it was sort of expected that you had a good ear. So no one was shocked that.
yeah, well, my father was the lead vocalist for a salsa band. I don't know. I just never thought like, I want to sing. I just thought that's just something you did. Like most people can sing. Well, I was proven wrong that, a lot of
That's
people
so
can't.
not true.
Right, right, exactly.
Wow.
So, yeah, but then once I started working on my own music, I worked with people that were doing sessions, and they're like, how come you're not doing like, session work? How come you're not doing jingles? I'm like, I don't know. They said you should do it. And then, but I always thought that session singers had to be like, sight readers and all that. And yes, that was true way back in the day. But when I was like, you're talking like, the middle 80s, late 80s,
Hmm.
uh, my friends were telling me, no, that is not the case. That is not the case. They said, you have a good enough ear that you can do this, and your voice is good enough. You should be singing. So they encouraged me to do it. And so then I just started sending, cassettes to
Yeah.
music house. I did my research. I got recommendations from people. And then I just started sending my tapes to all these music houses. And eventually I got in there and I realized, hey, I'm pretty good, so
Right. Well,
I
this
did
was like
okay.
the boom of jingle houses. That was, I mean, the mid 80s to, I would say,
Well,
early
I
90s
I mean,
was.
I wish I'd gotten into it a few years earlier because it really changed after a few years, and I wish I'd made some of the money that they
Yeah.
were making back then. But
Yeah.
it went downhill in the mid '90s. It just kind of, you know.
That was
But
what I heard. Yeah.
but I had a good taste of it, and I worked with the best of the best. The best singers, the best musicians, the best studios, the best engineers. it was fantastic. It was an incredible time,
Well, and
So
I was going to ask you if you sight read because I
no,
assumed you did. So that's pretty amazing. So even during your time at 4 Kids,
it
they would
wasn't.
just play it for you, and then you could
Yeah,
just.
yeah, it really wasn't that necessary because let's face it, it was a jingle, so it had to be something catchy. It had to be
Hmm.
something not too complicated. But there were a couple of funny sessions that happened, and where one time I walked in and I was still a newbie, and I walked into this session and I see all these chairs, and then I get handed sheet music and I go, okay, this is your part, and I'm like, oh
Uh-oh.
shit. So, but then, and there was a bunch of veteran jingle singers there, and there was one guy who was a legend in the business, Kenny Karen, who was a fantastic singer, and I always heard that he was a great sight reader and that he was the nicest guy. So I found out where he was sitting, and I sat right next to him, and before they went through the parts, I said to Kenny, I said, Kenny, could you just sing this for me? And I showed him, he goes, sure. And he sang me my part, and I just look, and I'm looking at the music. I'm like, okay, it goes up here, it goes up there, down here, down there.
Hmm.
Okay, and he's singing me the melody, so I'm here, and I got through it, So, but
Wow.
I would say 90% of the time, it was absolutely not necessary to read, And
That's
if
so
you had
interesting.
to, you just ask somebody to kind of run it down, whatever. Or the composer would play it on the piano, and I would just say, "Play it again." Okay, I got it. So
Yeah, I mean, I work in animation today, and about 50% of the time I get sheet music, and the other 50% I get a weird track in another language, or and
oh,
I'm
really?
just,
Oh, no.
it's been so all over the place. Like, there doesn't seem like there's consistency in the stuff that I'm doing, at least. And I'm I don't sight read, but I like sheet music as a crutch, which is such a strange thing. Like,
Well, I
there's,
mean, because when you have it, at least you can kind of follow, you know that, oh, it's going up here, it's going down here, and you can,
yeah.
and after you do it a couple of times, you see it, and then it's a good little guide, But I can't sight read, I can't do it, So,
Okay,
but I
so
did okay.
yeah, you figured it out. So you're singing jingles, you're doing sessions and stuff.
Yeah, I was doing sessions. I was doing 20 plus sessions a week, I was
Wow.
doing 3 to 5 sessions a day.
Now, is this
Yeah,
how
I
you
was.
met John Siegler and John Leffler? Is that
That is correct.
okay? Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, John Leffler had a company. What was the kind of company? I forget the name, but anyway, and John Siegler was his main writer, his kind of
Hmm.
his right-hand man. And they worked with another company called Not Just Jingles, this guy Scott Schreer, on 45th Street between Ninth and 10th. That's where they were. And they were one of the music houses that I worked for, So we became good buddies, especially John Siegler and I are very, very close buddies. I love him dearly,
He's a great guy.
So
Yeah.
yes, he is. And so
He
yeah,
said
that's how I
terrible
met him.
things about you. No, I'm
I'm
just
sure he
kidding.
did. I'm sure he did. I'm sure he
Were
did. But
you writing anything at this point? Has
well,
writing come into the picture yet?
here's the funny thing about that. When I first started sending my tapes out, it was all my music. And when I sent it to music houses, they were like, "Oh, who wrote this?" And I said, "Well, I did." They said,
Oh,
"Oh, would you want to write some jingles?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sure."
wow.
So my first few jobs, I was actually writing. But then when I started meeting some of the singers, and one singer in particular, who we did a ton of stuff, was a fantastic singer. His name is Joe Sarasano. He comes up to me, and I'm going to imitate his voice because I love the way he talks, because he's got this raspy voice. But he goes, Russ, man, you know what, man? You don't do the writing thing, man. It's too much work, man. You just want to sing. Sing. You go in, you sing, you leave, man. That's where you make the money, man. You don't want to write,
You don't
so
want publishing? Wait a minute.
well, no, because you wouldn't get that. You wouldn't get it.
Oh, for
They wouldn't
jingles,
give
you
it to
wouldn't
you.
get publishing.
Oh,
Oh,
no, they
no, no.
wouldn't
I
give it
mean
to you.
later.
Yeah, yeah, but so he convinced me in terms of jingles to just be known as a singer, and because another couple places wanted to hire me as a guitar player, and my friends were saying, no, 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 you want people to know you as a singer, not as a guitar. You don't want to confuse them because, oh,
Okay.
he's a guitar player, because singing is where you make the money and do the least amount of work. So
How
we were the
interesting. I mean, so
icing.
you were proficient. I mean, what's crazy is that you were proficient enough in writing, playing, and singing, which kind of your job at 4Kids kind of used all of those skills. So
Well, yeah, because I did, John knew, both of them knew what I could do composition wise, and also they would hire me to sing. And so then when things would come, because you have to understand too that when 4Kids came, what was his name? Al Khan, I guess, was the head of 4Kids, right? When he had his success, I think with Cabbage Patch, that's what made
he was a licensing guy. He was it was all licensing with a few exceptions, but yeah,
but Cabbage Patch was the thing that made him like a nice chunk of money, where
Nintendo,
he was able to buy license other things. Yeah. So then all of a sudden Pokemon came, and no one knew what this was about because there were so many things that would come from Japan. Oh, this is the biggest thing in Japan, and would flop here.
Right.
So when Pokemon came, it was like, this is the biggest thing in Japan now. And so all of a sudden it was like, no one knew what it was about. And next thing is like, oh, they need music for this. They need a theme song for this. And so we're all scrambling, and so we all, say, hey, Russ, why don't you write something? Hey, so they had a stable of writers to write, theme songs and whatever. And so here's a story. The original theme song for Pokemon, which Siegler and Leffler wrote, I did the demos for.
Can you hum it? Can you sing it? Do you remember any of it?
No, well,
of course. I mean, it's a million years ago. I get it.
Right. But here's the thing: I sang the original demos. Then when they bought the song, no one knew what this was about, and I started getting paranoid because I'm a SAG member. I'm like, what? And there was no one knew, and they thought it was going to be a buyout. And I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And so I backed out of doing the original song. And this guy, Jason Page, is the one who sings the original. Yeah. And so he sang it. And so then I ended up singing the second one, Pokemon World.
Which is better because you kind of knew what you were getting into. Like,
yes, and I got paid more than he did.
Well, that's the thing. Jason said yes because no one knew what this was, which led to the lawsuit and blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that whole thing.
So that was the thing. And I kind of saw, because I said, I don't know what's going on here. And this doesn't feel right now. I said, I feel, because also they weren't paying that much money. So I was like, I didn't want to get
either.
So anyway, but I got to sing the second one, and then I got to, do a bunch of writing, for them. I did, a bunch of theme songs.
So much for them.
Well, I wrote two of the Ninja Turtle theme songs, and then I wrote One Piece and Sonic X, and I co-wrote Sigma 6 with John Siegler, and I don't know if I'm missing anything else. And then we did a lot of underscoring too, like, for the cartoons.
Hey guys, Tara here with a quick message. We're doing something for the podcast called 4Kids Flashback Gives Back. I have bugged my friends for the last few months to autograph some stuff. We put it up on eBay, and all the money is going to charity. So, all different charities, actually. I've asked the cast what they feel strongly about. So there's a diversity in what we are donating to. You can go to ebay.com/USR/flashback4kids. I know that's confusing. Sorry, they wouldn't let me put the number 4 first. ebay.com/USR/flashback4kids, or you can go to our website, 4kids.com, and near the top of the page, there is a link that will take you there. So check it out. Find some really cool autographed DVDs and all kinds of stuff. Happy shopping, and thank you for listening.
Movie Friends is a film podcast for everyone, where two friends discuss some of the greatest films. Yes, Michelle?
Did you rehearse that?
Well, I'm reading it off a script for the commercial.
It's really not a commercial, it's a promo, but did you really think a script could describe our show?
Words are generally what are used to describe things, so yes?
No. Our show is fun. It's all about the dynamic between you and me and how you're a movie guy and how I'm definitely not a movie guy.
But you are like a movie guy.
No, and we talk about movies and we talk about life and cats, and we're joking all the time. People listen for that stuff, not the movie stuff.
Right, but the movie stuff is like, that's the stuff.
Wow. Maybe you should have rehearsed this more.
Movie Friends. It's a podcast about film.
It's a podcast about friends. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and follow on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Patreon at Movie Friends Podcast. We want to be your movie friends.
So at that point, were you in the 4Kids offices? Like, did you have your own space there, or were you working somewhere else?
Totally free. I had my own full-blown studio in my house years ago. And I did, everything was remote, I did it because, Siegler, Leffler was the one who kind of wheeled and dealed and, got the gig or whatever. But Siegler was basically the music director.
Yes.
He was the one that would get the assignments and dole it out to whoever, and he had his stable of writers to do, and he would assign the cues for all the cartoons. So, we did, so I would get cues for Ninja Turtles episodes or, what was it? Something Girls. There was
Magical Do Re Mi or Mew Mew Power or
no, it was another one. The
Winx Club.
Winx Club.
Winx. That's what
there
it was.
There was a lot
Winx.
of music in Winx. Yeah.
Right. So so we would do cues. So not one person did all the music for episodes. We all got doled out. So I would do a cue for this part of the thing. And, maybe there would be, a 30-second cue, or it could be a 3-minute cue. But we all got our assignments. And, we would do it, upload it, and then they would just compile it all for the episodes,
When you were scoring like that, was there a bank of music that that you made at first that you could pull from, or was it? Because it could have been original every single time, I'm guessing.
Well, it kind of was, but I would, get libraries of sounds and samples, and we all kind of shared certain sounds and samples. If something became like a mnemonic, for a certain cartoon, then we would share that. Or, for instance, the theme that when I wrote the Ninja Turtle theme was, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so they would use that theme, in a lot of things, and there was a couple of sounds that we used for it, so we'd share that. But mostly we all had our own libraries of orchestral sounds, sound effects, and all different synths and stuff. So we all just kind of did it all.
Did you learn how to edit? Were you responsible for that?
Yeah, I did everything.
So
we all did. I mean, we all had to do that. I sat and wrote, edited, I would do, we would stem it all out, we would write the whole thing. So I would record it, edit it, mix it, and then do stems of here the drums.
Explain the stems to people, because I don't think everyone knows what that means.
Well, now there's the terminology of stripes and stuff. We used to call them stripes, but what it was once we recorded a track, or when I would record a track, then I would do a rough mix of it. And then I would send that as a reference, because they would ultimately remix it for the program, because they would add the dialogue, add other sound effects, and what do they call it? Footsteps and thunder and stuff like that.
Right. Oh, the Foley.
Foley, thank you.
Yeah.
I can remember the name. And so we would stripe it out. And what we would do is then we would take each element, or not every single element, but we would take groups of elements. Let's say the drums. So we would do a stereo mix of the drums, and that would be the drum stripe or drum stem. Now there seems to be a thing where no, stems really are this and stripes are this, but we looked at it as doing almost submixes, so drums, so we stripe that out. Then we do here's the bass track, here's a stereo of the keyboards, here's stereo synth, here's stereo sound effects, here's stereo of solo instruments. If it's vocals, we do solo vocals, then we do background vocals. So depending on what we were doing would be you would only have a few stems, or you would have a bunch of stems for those stripes or whatever. So
thank you for explaining that. Yeah.
Okay.
So then when a show came in, what was the first song you wrote there? I just want to understand the process. I'm trying to think chronologically what that would have been.
I'm trying to, because I was singing for them before I was doing some I think.
Oh, I see. So you were already singing, and then
because that's something they originally called me in, and then they said, hey, do you want to write on this, or do you want to take a shot at writing this? I'm trying to think, what was the first thing I probably wrote for them? Might have been the Ninja Turtles.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I might have been.
Ultraman, I think sure. Ultraman was before you were there, but you sang.
No, Ultraman was there.
You sang on that.
I put. I might have, I can't remember. I sang on
So much stuff.
I did my own demo. I did my own demo of Ultraman. And then I know I did other people, because I would, when I did my demos, I would sing most of the time, but then after a while, I was getting sick of hearing me sing it. And then John and I said, you know what, if you get somebody else to sing it, it won't sound like Russ, So maybe you have a better shot, because here's Russ again, So I had my friend Tom sing the Ninja Turtle. I did all the other voices, but he did the lead voice, for the. And then I did what was it? Back to the Sewer? No, not Back to. Was it?
Yeah,
Back to the Sewer.
That other
I
series.
did that one. Yeah.
But would they come to you and say, "Hey, we have this thing," and was it almost like you were competing with your the other people in the office did they give you like a hook? Did they give you like a catchphrase to write around?
No. Well, Norman generally would write the lyric or most of the lyrics.
That's what I was wondering.
So I would get a lyric, and I would get, I would always ask them, please tell me what room, put me in a room. Like, we want it to sound like kind of this. If they would give me like a song or a genre or something to kind of put me in a room of what you're hearing, because I wanted, I wanted, to write something that they wanted to hear. So that's what I would ask, but I would basically just get lyrics, get an idea, maybe a direction or vibe or upbeat, no, we want this to be this or whatever. And so that's, and that's
so
how
you would get the lyrics. Okay, that's what I was curious about. So, yes, I mean, you probably don't remember this, but Norman, during his interview, said to us that, or Siegler maybe said that the theme song, the purpose of the theme song was to get kids to run in from the other room. And that's exactly what these songs did. Like, and they're real rock songs, which I think makes kids feel cool.
I think so. I think so. I mean, I'm starting to get, actually, I'm getting these weird like messages from like LinkedIn or whatever of these people who probably were kids when these came out and asking me about, can you send me this? Can you send me do you have an original copy of this, or do you have a better copy of? I'm like,
they all want that One Piece song that you sang that no one can find a good version of. Do you know what we're talking about?
And you know what? Yeah, We Are or something.
Yep.
And because that was the the original Japanese version, but they wanted the English version that and I don't even have a copy of it.
Right. I mean, did you keep in general? Did you keep copies?
Nah, I'm really, really bad about it. And one of my big regrets is that I didn't do I didn't do like just music only mixes, and because over the years people want they would say like, well, no, we're not going to pay you to write something, just send us tracks, and a lot of the things that I wrote were specific for either they were jingles, so the product would be in it, or if it was for cartoons or wherever, because I've also done a lot of work for Sesame Street too.
Right.
And all the stuff that wasn't bought is just sitting around, but a lot of it has vocals or has some, and I'm like, banging myself in the head. So I have to go. I have a bunch of Pro Tools sessions that have all the original tracks, but that whole system died, so I can't open them.
Oh man!
I have to find somebody that has an old system and try to maybe open them up and try to extract some of those, just to hear some of the old stuff that I did, and just try to use it. But I really regret, because if I had at least like just a music only mix of something, and especially now with the new technology they have where you can actually extract elements, but that was something stupid that I didn't do. So I regret not doing like just music only mixes of a lot of the music I did for commercials or for the cartoons.
We didn't think ahead like that. I mean, I didn't even make a list of who I played on the shows, and 4Kids definitely. So I'll get sent clips of episodes and they'll say, "Is this you?" And sometimes I can't even tell. So
no, I mean, I did a few, not a ton, but I did a few character voices.
We need to talk about that. Yes. Let's see. You segued us.
I don't even remember any of
it.
them. The only one I remember was Chaser from One Piece.
All right, let's go there.
And it was originally called Smoker. He was originally called Smoker, the original version, and because he used to have two cigars sticking out, and they were always right. So
they had to take out of the.
They had to airbrush it out, and they renamed him Chaser, and so that's the only one that I remember. But there was some other ones because I don't remember, but I had kids coming up to me. They knew that I did these voices, and they're saying, "Could you sign the cards?" Because all of these shows had their cards, like
Yep.
Pokemon cards. And I can't even remember the name of one of the cartoons that I did a voice for some hideous character in the cartoon. I was actually also Michelangelo
Probably maybe
for.
Ultimate Muscle or
No, it was one of these
let's
other
see.
weird.
I'm looking it up to see if I can find anything.
Yeah, it
But oh,
was.
sorry, you were saying Michelangelo in something.
Yeah, there was that movie that they did where all the different
The
uh
alternate, yeah, the
yeah,
alternate
the
versions.
multiverse, I guess. So
Yeah.
I was for one of them, I was Michelangelo for one of them, which was
Now, do
fun.
you
It's like
remember
this,
how this happened? Like again, like like Susie, who was an editor there, ended
yeah.
up getting cast in a show. Like, how did this work? That you did you audition? Were they like, hey, he'd be great?
Well,
Or
yeah, a little of everything because when I would go there, I spent a lot of time there. When we would bring tracks there, John would hire me to sing on a bunch of things. Lou Cordelezzi, who was another
Mhm.
guy that and Ralph Schuckett, may he rest in peace. We just
Yeah.
lost him recently.
Yeah.
And so all the writers, I would get hired to sing for them, either group background stuff or lead or whatever. And while I was there, they were like, there was what's her name? Michelle Dunn?
Michelle Dunn, yeah.
Yeah, and would say, "Oh, do you want to do?" And Darren,
Darren Dunstan, sure.
yeah, and so they were like, "Hey, we're gonna call you in to audition for this character, whatever." So I'd go on an audition for a few, and that's why I did probably like a half dozen characters.
Hmm.
Nothing major. I'm trying to remember those. Yeah, I can't even remember the cartoons
I get it.
except for
It's
One
all a
Piece.
blur to me as well.
Yeah.
Steve probably could tell you more about your character than you remember.
It's funny. Yeah, because like really, I think only the One Piece fans kind of kept track of you. Like, yeah, I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, you were one of the Michelangelos. But yeah, I
Well,
mean,
what's funny? What's funny is that my daughter, I have 6 kids. I have 5 daughters,
Wow.
but my 26-year-old daughter she has a boyfriend she's been seeing for about a year, and he is like a One Piece freak, and also
That's
all the other
Steve.
four
Yeah.
kids stuff, right? And when he found out that I wrote the theme song and that was me singing it, and that
Mhm.
I did he liked, and his friends like freaked out. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, my daughter's texting me, goes, "You have no idea. You don't understand." He goes,
Okay, well,
"They are
first of all,
freaking out right now."
two things. You'll have to tell them about the podcast, obviously. But second of all, I mean, all these conventions, Jason Page is doing this. We all do this convention circuit. And I hope that you
I
get to
know.
meet these fans at some point because,
Well, hey, if I know about it, man, I'd love
yeah,
to
I mean,
show
as
up. That'd
long
be a
as
lot
we
of
know
fun.
you're open to it, we always just mention that, so-and-so is available, so it's
Oh
great
yeah,
to
no,
know.
please. If I can do it, and I'm sure, I guess you can make a few dollars, right, from it,
Yeah,
right?
but also you should be yes, it's for that too, but it's mostly for that, but it's also they thank me and I'm always like, listen, I was a really small part of all this. You should be thanking the writers and the people who were
Well, oh, yeah,
there doing all of
well,
that work.
hey,
So,
well,
yeah.
hey, you know what? It's a cultural phenomenon, and it's hard to even, like for instance, when I wrote the title song for the CD "To Be a Master," and I did
Yes,
that,
let's talk about that,
right?
please.
And so I wrote, and I did everything, the whole thing, but then I had my kids sing background. They were the kids singing, doing all the answers.
Oh,
So of
thank
course,
God you had so many children.
right. And they were very young at the time. But the thing is, they didn't know anything about it at the time. They were really little kids, and only recently, when especially my daughter Sarah, she's 30 now, but go back a few years when her friends and her husband, they got married last year, found out that she was singing on that song. They were like freaking out.
Well, Steve knows that song, that album very well. Now, before I let him really deep dive,
mhm.
Yeah.
okay, I should explain that when you email with Russ, the word two is always the number two, and like it's I'll see you later is the letter C. You now was that always you before this To Be a Master thing happened?
Yeah, it was always that, and people say, "Oh, you're trying to be like Prince," which that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
I love Prince,
that's a
but
compliment.
yeah. So yeah, it was always that. Just especially with texting and everything. It was like to shorten, stuff. It's like, see you, whatever, to you, whatever. Anyway, yes.
Did you know it was going to be the title track though? Because it became the name of the
Well, no,
album,
that
right?
was my title.
Okay.
But but that I always had the intention of that's how I was going to spell it. That's how I was going to do it. No, that whole, that again, it was this mad scramble and no one really knew what was going on, but it was kind of like, oh, we got to do a CD. And so Leffler's like, okay, who's, Russ, you write something, Neil Jason, you write something, Siegler and him were doing, writing stuff. And so we all like scrambling to get the CD out because they really wanted to get it out at a certain time, and that also raised a few issues, but because there was no agreement, we had no idea what was going on, but
the
at the same
deadlines
time,
were crazy.
Yeah, and we were like, "Where's it going? What's the deal? How much do we got? What's this? No, we need it tomorrow." So, so I wrote it, did the whole thing, sent it in. Larry Alexander mixed it. He did a fantastic job, and it was just a very great creative burst. And so it was just a great time, but at the same time, it was all this. What's going on? What is Pokemon? What is what? Because that's just was the way it was, and unfortunately, we probably made a lot less money than we should have made. But
yes, that's one of the recurring themes of the podcast.
yeah. But you know what? No one else was throwing me, chances to write theme songs for TV shows and movies,
That's
because
fair.
I also wrote the one of the songs for one of the Pokemon movies, and then I sang one of the, and so no one was offering me that,
Right. Do you remember which one? I mean, we should
The
just
one
name
with
as many as
U2.
we can.
I think it was called Celebrate. So it was the one with Celebi, was it? Was Celebi?
Yeah, there was
Celebrate.
definitely
So it was during the titles, and the thing about it is, man, they took it and they sped it up. So when I was like, and it was already fast.
That's my question. So you didn't have final control over this stuff then?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah,
Not
that's
at all.
frustrating. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they
Oh,
did
yeah.
that with my voice, and it's
I mean,
it makes me
fortunately,
crazy.
Yeah, well, the things that I've heard for the most part were pretty much, the way I, heard it with final mixes. I mean, of course, once it was on TV, I never watched. I'll be honest with you, I never watched any of the shows.
Didn't
I had kids telling me about, like, thinking that I knew every aspect of these cartoons. I knew nothing about it. Like when I wrote the lyrics to Be a Master, I just got a list of all the characters, all the little Pokemon, and like, okay, I'll use this name. I'll use this name. Oh, this will rhyme with this. Okay, I'll use this one, and I got corrected, by a couple of kids, I'm like, okay, whatever you say. No, you can't mention him because he was, I'm like, okay,
they
whatever
knew the
you say.
details.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't.
And as you mentioned before, I think, like, since there's so many of you kind of scrambling, all working on things at the same time, there was because I just a reoccurring thing with, like, Pokemon back in the days. There was a lot of mistakes and I just naming the wrong Pokemon or mispronouncing, and it's probably because you're all just like, all right, everybody work on this, and like there's no, and it's we
were given very little background, right? And unless we watched it religiously, we didn't know the storylines, how it would follow, and even when we were doing cues, we were getting little sections, videos, of our cue. We weren't getting a whole episode.
Right.
So it's like, okay, Russ, we need you to write so I would get 3 or 4 cues, and this would be a scene somewhere like in the middle of the cartoon, and this would be something towards the end. So I had no idea the setup or what was happening afterwards. It was just like, I'm just writing music for this.
Wow.
This is what's going on. It's a chase scene. Okay, we're going to write chase music. Hearing the dialogue, you would hear, okay, this needs to be this or that, and that's what I guess movie scorers, that's how they do, they're so they don't necessarily even know maybe even the whole story. They're just going for that particular scene. Well, I don't know I think movies are probably scored a little different. I've never scored a movie, so I don't know. But...
There was like a sad montage, like early on in Pokemon, like a sad Pikachu montage. I forget if you were involved in that song at all.
I probably was, because I did some I didn't do much Pokemon stuff. I think it was John Lissauer and Manny, I forget his last name, did most of the Pokemon stuff. I think that was kind of like 90% they dealt with that. But Ninja Turtles, Winx, GI Joe, Sonic. I don't think I did much scoring in Sonic, but I know there's about 3 or 4 cartoons that I totally forgot that I did work on. Oh, there was that one that was the funky guy. It was like the
Funky
70s.
Cops. Let's
Funky
talk.
Cop. I did
That's
a lot
great
of Funky
theme
Cops.
song.
Right, I didn't do the theme song. I think John Siegler wrote the theme song, but I did a lot of cues for that, and that was a lot of fun.
We are
That was
trying
fun.
to uncover lost episodes of that show because that show, like, people need to see this ridiculous show.
Oh,
it's
I
so
love it.
funny.
Our
It's so
mascot, that
good.
show. I don't
So
know.
I was just
good.
trying, I was able to bring out a little funk, a little Earth, Wind, and Fire and a little Parliament, do that. I got a kick out of doing that one. So that was fun, especially the chase scenes. You can get real funky with it. You can get horns going and everything. It was great. It was great.
If you love anime and D&D, check out Warlock. It's the story of me, Nova Ravenwood, a young woman born without magic who forms a pact with a mysterious being for power. Set in a fantasy world of adventure, dragons, and powerful sorcerers, the story unfolds like an anime for your ears.
And don't forget about our muscular hunk of a classmate, me, Ren. Too bad this is audio only, otherwise you could see that I'm flexing my arms off over here.
Are you seriously interrupting the ad? You moron! Sorry, we'll get out of your way.
Wait, hang on. I haven't even told them about my amazing powers. I guess I should describe myself a little bit more first. First thing, I don't wear a shirt.
Thanks, Briar! Join the quest and listen to Warlock wherever you get your podcasts, or visit warlockpod.com for more information.
So were you surprised? I don't know if you were seeing this stuff, but from what we've heard, there's just so much less music in the original Japanese. Like, they just don't, Americans tend to, like, plaster the music all over.
You're absolutely right. I think, honestly, we kind of overdo it, I think.
Yeah, I know,
it's
probably.
too much music. But for us, it was good because, you need a cue. Great, because I'm getting paid for it, So,
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, bring more. Yeah, sure. It needs more music, But, you're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, I saw Oppenheimer, and the one thing and I love the movie, but the one thing I was like, it was too much music. The music was too much, for me. And I usually don't comment on soundtracks, but for some reason that it just bothered me that it was like too much.
Well, I want it to disappear. Like, I want it to be so good that I don't notice it.
Right. And that makes sense, because that's the thing. If I don't comment on it, it's because it worked or something, I guess, at least for me. But with Oppenheimer, I went to see it with my son. So I have 5 daughters and 1 son, only one. And
that poor
so
boy.
we went to see it, and that was, I know, but he loved being the brother, but he's a good, he loves his sister, so it's very cute. So, but when I came out of the theater, I said, Jake, what was that? That music, it was like too much music. It's like and even throughout the movie, I was just saying, enough, like it's like hitting you so hard in some parts where I thought it needed to be more sensitive. And I was like, geez, calm down here with the music.
Yeah, that doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. But I still love the movie, and I love what's his name, Cillian Murphy. He's amazing.
I need to see it. But so when I know this is a long time ago, so I don't expect you to remember all of this, but were there any theme songs you wrote when you were all, vying to get your song chosen that you were like, this one should have been the song? Like, or could, do you remember any of these?
Well, there was Ultraman was one, I think. I don't, now, of course, I can't remember it now. And what was another one? Oh, and then there was one of the Ninja Turtles. It was because there was the original one, which Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There was that, but then when 4Kids took it over, then I wrote that one, and then there was the follow-up I wrote, and then the next one, I think John Siegler's son and his his writing buddy, wrote it, and I like what they did, but I kind of thought mine was better.
Right. I mean, that's such an interesting dynamic in an office to be, because usually, like, if a show now is sending out what's the word that to write a spec song, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but they're not
right.
usually all on top of each other, like, or seeing each other. Like,
yeah. Well, you know what? Because a lot of the guys and gals that were involved in it, especially like the writers of, like, let's say me, Siegler, Ralph Schuckett, Lou Cordelezzi, John Lefter. We were, we did so much session work, and it was all about competitions, and it was friendly competition. Like, there was always several music houses competing for a jingle. There was always, you were always auditioning to be the solo singer. And if you were lucky enough, they whoever auditioned, if you didn't get the solo, you were able to sing in the group,
you were still working.
Yeah, but then that dwindled because the money got tighter and tighter, and there were smaller groups. But it was always about competition. So we were used to it. And it was a friendly competition. I mean, we were all happy for each other, whoever. So, but a couple of times, I said,
my song was good. Yeah, I wish you could find that music. I would love to hear alternate theme songs.
But there was some, good.
Oh, no, sorry. I just want to ask a question because, jumping back to Be a Master, how many of those, because, you're all like pitching songs. How many of those songs on those albums were yours? Do you remember?
Well, To Be a Master was mine, and no, I think that's the only one. But I sang on a few of them. Like, I sang.
No, you're all over it.
I'm singing backgrounds on a lot of stuff, and then I think D Train and I and Bobby Floyd, we did. May he rest in peace. We lost another dear friend of mine who was part of. You know what? I can't remember. I mean, if you.
Like, I think you might have been talking about what kind of Pokemon are you?
And I just
that was the one where you're name dropping.
Yes.
Okay.
What kind of Pokemon are you? And then I did something again. Another person that we lost, Vicky Sue Robinson, and I did something on that too. Do you remember Vicky Sue Robinson? Do you remember the name?
I know the name absolutely.
Turn the Beat Around, and the original version, not.
I know what you mean. Yeah, no, that's.
The Miami Sound Machine. What's her name?
Gloria Estefan.
Not her. Not
that version.
The original.
The real version.
Vicky Sue Robinson, and she was 16 when she sang that. We did a ton of session work together. She was a phenomenal singer, and she was a real character. Love her dearly. We lost her to cancer, which is very sad.
Too many people gone. Yeah,
I know. And Bobby Floyd, we lost him to cancer too. So. What? And then Ralph Schuckett. I don't even know how.
That was not that long ago. Yeah.
No, that was a couple of years ago, maybe. Again, with COVID, you got to maybe add a couple of years.
Yeah, we talked to John about that one because one of the big mysteries of 4Kids is who sang the Kirby theme, and Ralph was the one who produced that out in California, and he would have been the only one that maybe would know what session singer sang it. So.
It's not on the credits. It's not.
No.
Oh, because it's a theme song. So, right, because there was no credits on
right.
TV.
So we don't know how to figure out this mystery because that's a great theme song and it's a great voice.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's a 4Kids mystery.
Oh wow! So I don't know. You know what? Maybe I can pull it out. Maybe I can help. But it was probably somebody in L.A.
It was. Yeah. It definitely was. So. Yeah, I know, right?
Yep.
It's so interesting.
Now, how did you get involved with 4Kids?
I was an actor in New York doing, theater, musicals, all that. This was just another audition I went on.
Oh, an agent got called you and said,
I had agents, but I think I probably sent in a demo tape. I really don't know for sure. I think, again, like you, I was hand delivering my cassette demo for voiceovers wherever I could. I saw that you worked at Mikhail Barone. I was over there all the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, they're from the jingle thing because they used to be in an agency. DDB Needham, I think, was the agency.
Oh, that sounds right.
Then they started their own music house. But that's how I knew them. But I know that later on, Mikhail Barone, they did a lot of voiceover work.
Yeah, and that's why I was there. Yeah, I mean, New York is, and again, we talk about the New York of 4Kids because some of this stuff just doesn't feel like it could have happened in any other city. I mean, I'm sure it could have, but the camaraderie or the something about it is very New York to me.
Oh, I think so. And it was just a great, it was a great time. A lot of creative energy was going on.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff. And it was fun because I was still doing some, session work, as a singer doing jingles, but then all of a sudden get into the cartoon world. and then I started doing a lot of stuff for Sesame Street, which was,
Mhm.
a lot of fun, so I guess I feel like Al Pacino, they keep pulling me back in, with the kid stuff. I can't get away from the kid stuff.
Oh, I have one more just Sonic question because I just love
Sure.
that song so much. So I know you said that they would give you a lyric sheet, but now with something like "Gotta Go Fast," was that something you were handed a piece of paper that just said...
Yeah, that was Norman's main thing about gotta go fast,
Okay.
and I think when I go gotta go fast, I think because I wanted the repetition. I think I was one that just went gotta go faster, 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 faster. That's was my interpretation. But his thing was gotta go fast, gotta go fast, gotta go fast. And then he wrote the lyrics for the verses and stuff. But yeah, I mean, but that was Norman. That was he. And he just
Yeah.
said, obviously it's got to be upbeat. So I was like, you know what? And I thought of this Joe Jackson song, that kind of the groove of the Joe Jackson song. So I kind of went with that and,
Oh,
and just kind of
interesting.
started, trying to remember the song. Can't remember the song. But
Oh man. Okay.
yeah,
I know memory's tricky.
oh, what's the name of the song?
The only Joe Jackson song that's coming to mind me is "Stepping Out." I don't know if that's what you're thinking of.
No, it's
I'm
not
not.
it.
I'm
It's
not that
not
good.
it.
Is that Joe Jackson?
That is Joe Jackson.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but there
No,
there
it's a
was
different one. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
You'll
it's
think of
definitely-
it as soon as we
What-
end this.
It's
Right.
like I just want to branch off that. What's great is,
Please.
Siegler with his background and just just taking all these inspirations from actual music, and I think what you described earlier is kind of just like getting in a room with someone and then playing you like what you want. It's like was like what they're looking for. I think is like it speaks to why so many of these theme songs are so memorable, is because I think they kind of come from, the best way to kind of describe it is it feels from like actual music. It kind of feels like they
Well,
take
yeah,
so many of
because
the best aspects of those.
we wrote songs, and then of course I guess we also really as doing commercials, especially John Siegler, all day every day, that's what he was doing, right? So it was always about writing catchy hooks and
Hooks.
real quick to the point, and most theme songs were no more than a minute, sometimes even less, so you wanted to get to so he was just so good at just getting to the point right away, not like, okay, here's the intro and here's a verse and then here's the pre-chorus, and no, boom, you got to hit him over the head right away. So that I think doing a lot of commercial work, jingles, writing catchy jingles really helped to write the theme songs and to really focus in on getting to the point, getting something catchy, and then you're out, so.
Yeah. Somebody asked online, we asked them like if they had questions for you. And someone asked, they said there's a lot of different variations of the G.I. Joe Sigma 6 song.
Yes.
Were you always making different versions of the same song? Like, or were things approved pretty quickly, or?
Well, when I wrote, I did it with Siegler. Well, basically what it was we actually had two songs, and they were like, oh, okay, they like Siegler's thing here, they like my thing here. So we thought, wow, why don't we put it together? So it's actually
Oh, wow.
two different ideas, and then there's that middle part which it has like, where it goes into this whole military kind of thing. That was my thing, but then he had, again, it was like these little pieces of things that both of us put together. Then I did the track, and then we mixed it together, and so then what happened was, because there was kind of like different sections, I think we had, again, stems of the different elements, and they just re-edited it. So I never really went back and, after we did the original one, I think I had to do, because that's me in the beginning, Sigma 6, the whole announcer thing, that radio voice in the beginning. I think I had to they changed it a few times. So that was the only thing that I remembered redoing and doing different versions of it.
Okay.
But in terms of, the song itself, no, we gave them the elements, and then the original song was the original song, and then they would maybe take pieces of it or edit it or extend it or whatever. So that's what they did. And like I said, the only thing I remember doing was the original, segment 6, real 4. I don't even remember the actual.
And this was all in house, right? Like you guys weren't outsourcing any of this, were you?
Well, I don't know what I mean. I'm sure John and Leffler, had other people working on it.
Well, like they had
but,
Ralph in LA, but again, it was
right.
like it was four kids. It was like their people. Yeah.
Yes. No, it was all the music that they did was assigned. I mean, was either assigned by Leffler or Siegler, but mostly Siegler. John and I, we auditioned. Remember do you remember the failed attempt? They tried to put a band together, a group.
Yes,
together,
the 4Kids 5.
The 4Kids 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and John and I don't even remember that was the actual name that they came with. But John and I John asked me to come to the auditions for the singers, to audition the singers, and there were 2 fantastic singers, and one I actually still kind of work with. What we do, these song parodies, and although we don't get to sing together, because everything's remote now, her and I will do the duet. No, Alon Rivera.
Oh, right. Yes, her name's all over. Yeah.
Oh, she's fantastic. She's fantastic. And so she was great. And this guy, PJ, I forget his last name. PJ something, fantastic singer.
We've been trying to nail down the exact names of all the band members. Siegler had some of them. I think we're still missing 1 or 2. So.
Well, Alon Rivera was one, and she kicked ass. And
she did a lot of the Winx music, from if I'm remembering
correctly.
Well,
as a matter of fact, I did, so I wrote, and now you just brought back something. There was a song, like I didn't write the theme song, John did, but there was songs in the cartoon that would break into a song, and I wrote a couple in which she sang and
I'll send you a link. We compiled. Jim Malone had all of them. I don't know if you remember Jim, the producer. So
the name sounds familiar. I can't place the face right now.
So I have I've compiled on YouTube all of the Winx Club songs. So I will send you a link to that. Yeah.
Yes, I would love
I was so glad that and some of them were still trying to fill in the missing singers. So if you if you see that it's missing, well, I'll ping you and tell you.
Yeah, I don't remember PJ's last name, but he went by PJ something. He's a fantastic singer. I don't know the rest of them. They didn't stick out to me.
John's son was in the 4Kids 5 band.
Oh, wait. That's something else, I think. Because they did their version of the Sonic.
Because there's music videos. Like, I can send you the music videos.
So maybe that was even another band, because I think they wanted to have it was John Siegler. It was Jake Siegler's a band that did, because I remember there was some kind of, I don't know, some kind of.
It was Molly Weaver was the lead singer of this band that they put together.
Okay. All right. So this might be a different one. They try to put together like a Pokemon. I wasn't like a 4Kids band. I think it was more like a Pokemon band or something.
Oh, okay.
I think this was before what you're talking about.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I remember there was some kind of event at some club or something where they were performing and they were doing Sonic X. Jake Siegler's band was doing Sonic X. So I had to come down and see them do it,
That's awesome. Well, I love how many of you had kids around this. I mean, did your kids ever come into the office and or were you using them as like a focus group at home when you were like, do you like this better or this?
Sometimes I would listen to it and say, do you like it? And I would, they would say, yeah, done. Like I said, I had them sing, on that. I had them sing, on there's something else I had them, do backgrounds on or whatever, just to do like a group yell or something,
right.
And
I mean, if you're gonna have 6 kids, put them to work. Yeah.
It's right. I have 6 kids working for 4Kids. But just a couple of times, not a lot though, not a lot.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, before we let you go, I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about, Steve? Any more questions before we let you
Steve,
go on with
whatever.
your life?
Before I get on with my life,
Are you in? Where are you based now? Are you in Jersey, New York?
No, I'm in the Bronx. I'm in Riverdale, New York.
Nice.
In the Bronx, yeah. So I'm here with my partner. She and I are having fun. And he's not here now, but Banjo, my little dog, my little rescue. And I'm still doing some session work, but not jingles. Doing, like I said, song parodies mostly.
Where can people find that? You want to plug something?
I couldn't no, because it's really one hit things that just go to different radio stations. If they want to make fun of something, they'll use a song. Yeah, and it'll be like a verse and a chorus, and they'll use it for one day, and it's for this company that supplies music to different radio stations across the country. So it's nothing, and some of it is really stupid, but it's fun because I get to sing
you're making
old
money
songs.
making music. I mean, that's how I always, some of my jobs are better than others, but I'm like, if we're living a creative life, and to me, and Steve as well, and it's, to me, that's the best part of all of this.
And Steve, what you play, sing, whatever, do all of the above?
I'm a professional storyboard artist. I've been working in TV animation for a little while now. So, but I've been drawing all my life, and I've been watching like cartoons all my life. So naturally,
there you go.
So
he's here as the resident anime expert. So.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I'm the nerd liaison, maybe, or something. I don't know.
I wish I could remember. Well, that's fantastic. Now, what is what would be your favorite? Like, if you had to pick your favorite anime, or is it anime, or do you like certain other animation that you really are inspired by, or anything?
I mean, I do love anime, like One Piece. You were talking about.
Do you know who the artists are? Do you know who they are?
The artists?
I mean, I'm not. Yeah. Do you know? Do they actually give them credit? On these cartoons, or?
You mean like
the actual the guys that are doing, or gals that are doing what you're doing for that cartoon?
Oh, for us. Oh, yeah. It's like because I'm union, or at least like I have.
No,
been,
he means the Japanese counterpart on One Piece. Getting credit.
Yeah,
the guys that you admire, or gals that you admire, do you actually know who they are, or do they, not?
It's
the One Piece animators.
Definitely, like they're always the Japanese animators are always credited, and like the crazy thing now is I think like One Piece, I could say specifically, they've been branching out and they've been hiring a lot more people outside of Japan as freelance to do animation. So over the last couple of years, we've had like actual American animators animating on the show. And actually just recently, a man named Henry Thurlow, who was an animator in New York, moved to Japan, and now he's working at Toei Animation, who makes One Piece. And he just this past summer, he directed an episode. So it's and the thing is also like in this day and age in the internet, there's an entire section of like anime fandom of people that are just into like the animation side, and they're going through like old shows like Dragon Ball Z, and they're figuring out which animator was who, so making sure like there's a database, and people know this sequence is done by this animator. It is a rabbit hole for there, but
and you just reminded me of another big thing that we didn't even mention was Yu-Gi-Oh.
Did you? Oh, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh. Let's talk. Please, let's talk about
stuff. I wrote a bunch of stuff with Yu-Gi-Oh, and also a bunch of songs about Yu-Gi-Oh from the Yu-Gi-Oh movie. Which I totally forgot about. But because I was just going to say, as you were saying that, I'm like, man, there was all these videos that these kids were making of my songs, and it was blowing my mind. Because there was one song called "You Better Fear Me," and there was also "World of Yu-Gi-Oh," and I forget the other one.
These were like all on an album too. Like it's similar to "To Be a Master." I think it was like "Music to Duel By" or "Songs to Duel By."
Right, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that one. I think there was a couple of CDs, but one "Music to Duel By," and there was 2 or 3 songs I wrote. But "You Better Fear Me" and "The World of Yu-Gi-Oh." But "You Better Fear Me," for some reason, I Googled it, or in YouTube. I put all these videos. I'm like, oh my God, these kids have too much time on their hands. It was unbelievable. And some of them were great. I was like, wow. this is it made my day, but
Was
I
anyone
was like,
else
holy.
who was writing also capable of singing the way you were, or were you the main singer of the
Well,
staff
I
writers?
mean, they hired some great singers, but I'm trying to think who actually sang that wrote. I don't think anybody really,
Yeah, I
because
don't think
John
so
Siegler
either.
didn't sing. He would always hire singers, and me being one of them. Ralph didn't sing.
I know some of the
Blue
women in
Coat
the
Eraser
office
didn't
would
sing.
sing backup, like it was like Michelle Dunn
Yes.
and Kathy Borland and Chris
Oh,
and
yeah, Kathy is Norman's wife.
yes, and
Yeah,
wait, who was the and it was
Brenda?
Brenda.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, so they
and
would
yeah,
sing backup. Yeah.
yep. But I don't think in terms of the writers. I can't recall any of them actually singing. John Leffler occasionally sang,
Okay.
a couple of his things, but no. But I was lucky enough to, be able to sing a little bit. So what the
Well, it was a
heck.
perfect use of all of your skills. I will say.
Well,
Like, yeah.
thanks. It was a lot of fun, and it was fun to just kind of be put in a room to here. We want you to do this. So it was like kind of an assignment, I find it hard sometimes for me to just sit down and just want to write my own songs or whatever. It's like I need an assignment. I need you to tell me what
Yeah.
to.
I get
So
that.
I'm kind of
Yeah.
used to that. Yeah.
As a creative, I can understand that sometimes. It's more
Yeah.
like,
So, and maybe now I'll start thinking about, I'll start doing some research and find out what were the other cartoons that I did some voiceovers for, because I have no idea
Yeah, and
what the
please
names of them
update
are.
us at any time. And we're always like, or at least I am always asking people and updating IMDb because people do want an accurate record of this stuff for whatever reason they want to. So always feel free to hit us up with when you remember
Sure.
things or if you want it added.
just like I said earlier, like how like, oh, there's like a whole section of fandom that like knows which anime or anime what scene. I think if you just put a call and be like, can anyone tell me what characters I voice again? Someone's gonna tell you.
They do.
Or at
No,
least-
they will. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
well,
thing.
Go ahead. Feel free to ask because I have no idea. And
Yeah,
and are you doing Tara? Are you doing a cartoon like character voice? I mean, are you still doing
I'm
some
doing
of that?
everything they hire me to. The life of a free. I do a lot of audiobook work. I do a lot of cartoons and all that
Because
stuff.
I would like to possibly maybe start, get into. I mean, I know I'm on this side of the
You have a great voice.
the left
I
side, the
mean,
right side. But I don't know. Is the agents that you have an agent or agents or
yeah, multiple. I mean, it's the industry's different now. You can have
Yeah, that
multiple
might
agents in
touch.
different markets, but I'm happy to talk to you about all that. But
Yeah.
but it's weird too because there are different markets, but you're competing now against the world because
I know that's what everybody can talk. Not everybody can sing, but everybody can talk. And so yeah, I mean, when I'm out of touch, but I recently went to a couple of these agencies, and there's just millions of names. Like how do
crazy, right?
they cast? Just because everybody and anybody can.
I don't know anymore. I mean, they're getting thousands of submissions for roles sometimes. And now there's like a trend towards it's been around for a long time, but they don't want the polished sound. So all of us that perfected our commercial read and
Right.
buy Pepsi, it's
Right.
not that. It's hey, I don't care if you buy Pepsi, but if you do, that's cool. It's now
Yeah.
it's and you have to follow the trends and it's
Well,
It's
I
a
was
crazy
never
business.
back in the day when I was doing commercials and going out sometimes singing, but sometimes going out for voiceover, I hated the voiceover audition aspect of it. I felt like I was going to a doctor's office, But
Yeah.
but doing the cartoon stuff was fun, so I thought maybe that's less the doctor's office vibe, and maybe I should try to go. It's obviously not as lucrative as doing commercials, but it's something that I might find more fun doing.
Yeah.
So I
mean,
want to maybe look into who's doing it and try to see if I can get my foot in the door with that. Even though I'm not the new
and
kid
it's
on the
all
block.
from home. It's all from home now. So it's
Oh,
like as
really?
long as you have a setup, it's not, I mean, it's like 80-90% from home. But I mean, if you're in New York, sometimes there will be a studio provided, but like I get a lot of auditions now where it says like must have home studio. But I feel like you know how to do all that. So
Right,
you're
but there's
ahead.
that software that I think my friend was telling me that they use now for if they want to do live.
Source Connect is a lot of
Source
what
Connect,
we do.
yeah.
And
So
we
is that
dub
something-
over, we're dubbing over Source Connect. So a lot of times we're dubbing to a video that's on there. I mean, again, like I was talking to Steve earlier about this. Like when I moved to LA in 2005, I lost my job on Yu-Gi-Oh because they weren't going to pay for a studio. Now I could sit here and do it. So,
yeah, I know. Everything is remote now. So, I mean, in some ways it's great. I do miss going to studios, showing up because there's that energy, there's that camaraderie,
Yeah.
So I miss that a lot, but it's so convenient to literally roll out of bed and, do,
it's too
whatever.
convenient. Yeah. No, but we can definitely talk about that stuff. I mean, again, the business changes daily because of AI and because of technology. So I feel like I'm just trying to keep up with it all. But yeah, I mean, your voice is so great. How could, and someone listening right now should hire you.
Well,
someone
I
listening
appreciate
to this
it,
podcast.
but I'm so out of touch with it. That's why I want to, kind of get my foot back in and see, make a go of it. Because that's the one thing with voiceover is that even if it's character voices, I mean, you can pretty much do it to your toes up, so,
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see you at a convention singing with Jason Page because you could do both songs back to back,
I know. I haven't seen him in a while. So yeah, please, if it comes up, please invite me. If I can make it, I will do it.
People
just to check it out at least,
Well, thank you so much. Well, we have taken up
my pleasure.
All of
Thank
your
you
time.
for asking me. It was a lot of fun. It was nice meeting you guys. Thank you. Have fun. Take care. And I will be in touch. I will be. I promise.
Thank you so much, Russ Velazquez. I finally said it right. Velazquez.
I had to leave.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to take out me butchering his name at the beginning because I speak for a living.
Yeah, we don't want that polished drink Pepsi kind of podcast.
That's right. We don't want that.
The Gen Zers, there's a whole new level of apathy. I don't know. That's marketable.
That's the apathy read.
It's like you gotta look like you don't care, but you have to put effort into making it look like you don't care. I don't know.
Totally. But see, okay. And now that gets me to, well, this is so off topic, but they're so concerned with not looking being thirsty. Like, oh, they're so but then when they try so hard to not look like they're trying, to me that screams thirsty. I'm talking about the youngins. But
I realized I'm like, oh, I'm just like, because I honestly, it really started when when Twitter started to go downhill. I just realized I'm like, I'm old now. I'm like, I'm an adult. I just feel like ever since I graduated college, I still think I'm like, yeah, I'm a fresh college grad. I'm like, no, I'm not. I've been out of college for.
You will feel like, but see, you feel like that forever. Like I'm a lot older than you, and like sometimes I'll just be like, oh, I'm not 25. Oh, I'm an adult. Yeah, that's weird. But like TikTok, so like the TikTok shit where they mouth words to songs, they're just like lip syncing, but they look like they're bored. They do 87,000 takes of it. They do, and they're you. So I'm like, you're Tara, trying to look like you don't care.
You and I both live in LA. You definitely go out. You're in a shopping center, mall, somewhere. You're out in public, and you see someone recording it again and again.
And again. Oh, I hate it. I hate that I'm supposed to be doing that.
This all stems from, I don't know, I'm gonna steal someone else's joke, but they referred to Blue Sky, which was like the alternative people are trying to hop on
the new
Twitter, and now they referred to it as Twitter for millennials. And then when
is that what it's
I looked at my
becoming?
Blue Sky, I'm like, oh yeah, it's just all my friends like in my age range.
We have a Blue Sky account.
Do.
We have a 4Kids Flashback Blue Sky account. I don't know. I mean, I never post on it, but it's there.
It's tough, yeah.
We have a TikTok. Hey guys, we have a TikTok. No
I have a TikTok.
At it,
I ain't
it's there if
anything.
you want it.
I have that so I could just favorite Nanoland clips.
I mean, I put up a video the other day just explaining the podcast, like because I was like, I better do something, and like a couple of like our friends, like Sam Rigo, liked it. I was like, okay, thanks, Sam. But like, no one. So guys, okay, you know what? This brings us to a very important. Can we talk? Hey, listeners.
Hey.
Tara Sands here with a very important message. I'm going to use my adult voice. Yeah, so we really appreciate you listening.
Okay, that's where it's going.
And we really yes, this is where we're going. We really appreciate our Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. You're the ones who keep the show going because it's not free to make this show. We value our guests. We make sure that they're thanked for their time in not a very generous way, but in a way, editing things and having the software. So we really appreciate you guys kicking in the $5 a month to get your episodes early and ad-free. What else should we tell them, Steve? Should we tell them where they can become a patron?
Sure. If you didn't already know about our website, that's 4kidsflashback.com. With the number 4.
Number 4.
You could check out all the info you need to know about our show. All our guests, all our links are on there. But if you go to patreon.com/4kidsflashback with the number 4.
Yeah. And if you and you know what, I should plug this. If you guys want to hear, we compiled all of the theme songs into one place for you guys with tons of Russ's stuff. So if you go to youtube.com/@4kidsflashback, you'll hear all of Russ's stuff that we talked about during this episode. His voice is awesome. He has a great voice, and it's cool to know that the person singing it also wrote it. I kind of, that makes it more fun for me. And also, Steve's an artist and he made our logo, and you can get it on stuff like t-shirts and mugs and hats, and just follow the store link on our website for Kids Flashback to make Steve's work come to life on your body.
People are purchasing. I'll be damned. People are buying. So
yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to say.
I just ordered a bunch. I ordered a bunch of hats for my friends. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you to Russ. Thank you for being a friend. To travel down the road. Speaking of theme songs, that's the Golden Girls. Most of you don't know. But thank you for being a friend, and we'll
catch you next time.
4Kids Flashback is a production of Maji Media, hosted by Tara Sands and Steve Yurko.
Producers are Zach Logan, Tara Sands, and Steve Yurko.
For more information, go to 4kidsflashback.com. That is the number 4. And if you worked at 4Kids and have a story you want to share, please email us at 4kidsflashback@gmail.com.
You can find us on social media at 4kidsflashback, and to listen early and ad-free, head to patreon.com/4kidsflashback. For podcast merchandise, find links on our website and Linktree.
As they say on every podcast, if you liked this show, please subscribe, rate, and review, and tell your friends, or 4. If you want to check out other Maji Media podcasts, go to maji.media. Thanks for listening.